The sky was grey the day Amanda and Kelvin buried their parents. The small churchyard was filled with strangers, but somehow it still felt empty. Amanda stood in her faded black dress, holding Kelvin's tiny hand as he quietly cried beside her. He was only 6 years old, she was 16, but in that moment, they both felt like orphans of the world. Their parents had died in a terrible car crash. One moment they were coming home from a trip, the next, gone. Just like that. Around the graveside, distant relatives whispered and argued, not about the children, not about how they would survive, but about land, money, furniture. Who would take the TV? Who would sell the car? Amanda watched them closely. No one held her. No one touched Kelvin. Not even one person asked if they had eaten. Her heart grew cold. She knelt in front of Kelvin, who was wiping his nose with the sleeve of his shirt. "Look at me, Kelvin," she said softly. He looked up with teary eyes, confused and broken. "I will never let anyone use us," Amanda whispered, her voice shaking. "I will make sure to protect you, my little brother. I promise." Kelvin nodded slowly, holding on to her tightly. She hugged him, feeling like a girl carrying the weight of the world, because she was. After the funeral, their lives became even harder. Their relatives took almost everything. The little money in their parents' account, the land, even some furniture from the house. All Amanda and Kelvin had left was a tiny room and each other. Amanda dropped out of school and started doing whatever job she could find. Cleaning, washing, even selling oranges on the roadside. Anything to feed Kelvin. Sometimes they went to bed hungry. Sometimes Amanda cried at night where Kelvin couldn't hear. But she never stopped pushing. She made sure Kelvin stayed in school. She always packed his lunch, even if it meant she didn't eat. She paid his fees, bought his books, and told him, "One day you will make it. Just don't forget who you are." Years passed like scenes in a movie. Kelvin grew, tall, quiet, focused, smart. He studied hard, finished university, and started a small business with the little Amanda saved and a few favors from kind neighbors. Amanda continued working quietly in the background. She didn't care for recognition, only results. That small business grew fast. Soon, Kelvin had clients, then employees, then a company, then many companies. They moved into a big house, big gates, shiny floors, beautiful rooms, but Amanda still dressed simply, still cooked Kelvin's favorite beans and plantain, still called him my small boy. But Amanda never forgot. She never forgot the faces of the relatives who walked away with her parents' money. She never forgot how it felt to go hungry, or to cry alone in the dark. And so, even though Kelvin was now a billionaire in his late 20s, respected, powerful, famous, Amanda remained watchful. Because she knew, money can bring many things, but it also brings people who wear masks, and Amanda had seen what masks could do. Life in the big house was peaceful, but peace often brings back old memories. And Amanda had memories she wished she could forget. Sometimes, late at night after Kelvin had gone to bed, she would sit alone in the quiet living room. The soft lights, the clean tiles, the expensive chairs, all of it made her remember the girl she once was, a struggling orphan trying her best to survive. That was when the past would return. Years ago, before Kelvin became successful, Amanda had fallen in love. She was around 20 then, working odd jobs, cleaning houses, washing clothes, selling bread in the morning just to make enough money for Kelvin's school fees. Life was hard, but love made it feel a little lighter. He was a charming young man, handsome, sweet with his words. He was the first person who made her feel seen in a long time. He told her she was strong. He told her she deserved happiness. He told her he loved her. Amanda believed him. They got married quietly. No big ceremony, no celebration. Just a small gathering in a friend's backyard because they had no money. But Amanda didn't mind. She was happy. She thought she had found someone who understood her struggle. But the truth showed itself only a few months after the wedding. The gentleman she married slowly became someone else. He started asking for money. At first, small amounts, then bigger ones. He lied about where he was going. He stayed out late. He flirted openly with other women. He insulted her whenever she asked questions. "You're just a struggling orphan. You should be grateful I married you, he once snapped. Don't act like you're something special. The words cut deep, but Amanda stayed because she thought love meant patience. She thought he would change. She thought marriage required endurance. But things only got worse. Then Kelvin's life began to change. His small business started growing, and his tech app was purchased for a very high price. People began to notice him, inviting him for interviews. Money began to come in little by little. And suddenly, her husband became sweet, calling her darling, helping her around the house, acting caring overnight. Amanda wasn't foolish. She noticed the change. She noticed the timing. But she tried to believe maybe he was trying. Until the day she saw the messages. She had been washing clothes when his phone lit up with a notification. She ignored it at first, but something told her to check. The message said, "Don't worry. I will soon be rich. My wife is the stepping stone. I wanted to leave her, but that will be a bad idea now. Her brother is rising. I just need to hold her down a little longer." Amanda's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone. He didn't love her. He never loved her. She was a tool, a bridge, nothing more. That night, she packed her things. She didn't shout. She didn't insult him. She simply told him she was done, that she would not allow anyone to use her again. He begged, he cried. He accused her of being heartless. He said she would regret it. But Amanda walked away. The shock, the betrayal, the heartbreak, it stayed with her for years. But she refused to break. She became stronger, harder, wiser. And from that day on, she swore one thing. Kelvin will never go through what I went through. Not if I can help it. Now, sitting in the big house with its soft lights and quiet halls, Amanda whispered that promise again. She looked toward Kelvin's room, her little brother, and said softly, "No woman will use you, not while I am alive." She placed her hand on her chest and breathed out slowly. The past had wounded her, but it also armed her. And she was ready to protect Kelvin from anything or anyone who tried to hurt him. The sun rose gently over the big house, pouring soft light into the living room where Amanda sat, sipping her morning tea. She was in her simple blouse and slippers, her Bible open beside her on the table, lips moving quietly in prayer. Just then, Kelvin walked in, already dressed for the day, clean cut in a plain white shirt and navy blue trousers. His phone was buzzing non-stop. Amanda raised her eyes and smiled. Calls already? Can the world not wait for you to even drink tea?" Kelvin grinned and waved his phone. "It's good news, sis." Amanda straightened. "Tell me." He walked over, leaned on the edge of the sofa and said calmly, "We just signed a new deal, $500 million. Amanda dropped her cup. "What?" Kelvin laughed. "Relax, Amanda. It's not like the money is entering today." But Amanda was already on her feet. "Ha! My God, this is the hand of the Lord. I said it. The same God that lifted Joseph. Kelvin, you will go far. You hear me? You will go far." Kelvin chuckled and sat down, letting her hug him tightly. "You deserve it," she said quietly. "You've worked so hard. You've remained kind. You've remained humble." People called him the silent billionaire because he never liked too much attention. He rarely showed up at award shows. He didn't throw parties or fly around in private jets. He liked calm. He liked family. He liked peace. And above all, he loved Amanda. Their bond was special, deeper than blood. She had raised him, fought for him, fed him, and believed in him when no one else did. Even now that he could buy her anything, Amanda still chose to live simply. She cooked most of their meals. She still cleaned her own room. She didn't care about fame. That's why he listened to her, always, except when it came to one topic. Marriage. "Kelvin, so when are you bringing a wife home?" Amanda would tease as they ate dinner. Kelvin would laugh. "Why are you rushing me?" "I'm not rushing. I'm reminding you that you're not getting any younger." "I'm in my late 20s. That's still young," he'd say with a wink. Amanda would roll her eyes and shake her head. "Okay, when your child calls me grandma, don't complain." This was their usual play, light jokes, soft laughter. But underneath, Amanda was watching closely. She knew how dangerous love could be. She had scars to prove it. Then one evening, as the sun was setting and the power generator hummed softly in the background, Kelvin did something unexpected. He cleared his throat during dinner and said, "Amanda, there's someone I want to tell you about." Amanda froze mid-scoop of rice. "And?" Kelvin smiled. "I've been seeing someone." Amanda blinked. "Wait, are you dating? Since when?" "A few months." "A few months? Kelvin! And you're just telling me now?" "I wanted to be sure first," he said, still smiling. "Her name is Tonya." Amanda dropped her spoon gently. "Tonya. Yes, she's beautiful, very smart, owns her own fashion line, has a strong following online. She's a boss on her own." Amanda's face was calm, but her heart was already alert. The way he described Tonya, it was too smooth, too surface level. "How did you meet her?" Amanda asked. "A friend introduced us. She liked that I was quiet and different from other businessmen." Amanda gave a short smile, but inside her chest felt tight. Something didn't feel right. And when something doesn't feel right, it usually isn't. That night, as Kelvin went upstairs to take a call, Amanda sat alone on the couch, staring at the empty plate in front of her. The name Tonya echoed in her mind. She could tell from the way Kelvin talked that he was already attached, maybe even falling. And she also knew that when men fall in love, they often stop thinking clearly. "I must see this girl with my own eyes," Amanda whispered to herself. Not to judge, not to fight, but to protect. Because when a woman has known pain, she can smell trouble long before it arrives. That night, long after Kelvin had gone upstairs, Amanda sat in the dim light of the sitting room, phone in hand, heart uneasy. She opened Instagram and typed Tonya into the search bar. There were many Tonyas, but she found her easily. Her page was open, public, and loud. Amanda's eyes slowly scanned the photos. Designer handbags, luxury cars, selfies in expensive clothes, captions like, "If you're broke, just say that," and "Don't talk to me unless you wear real gold." Amanda's heart sank the more she scrolled. Tonya's laugh in the videos was loud and proud. She tossed bundles of hair, made jokes about people who smell like poverty, flaunted shopping bags as if they were medals. But the comments, the likes, the followers, it was clear she had a big audience, and they adored her. Amanda shook her head slowly and whispered, "God, is this the woman my brother is falling for?" The next evening, Kelvin came downstairs dressed neatly in a dark native outfit. "Going out?" Amanda asked casually. Kelvin smiled. "Yes, just a quiet dinner. Tonya and I want to eat somewhere peaceful tonight." Amanda nodded slowly. "Which restaurant?" He told her. "Enjoy. Greet her for me," she said, smiling gently. But the moment he left, Amanda changed into her own clothes. Simple, clean, but nothing fancy. Just a soft blouse and a long skirt. She tied a plain scarf and wore simple sandals. With a worn-out purse in hand, she left quietly. The restaurant was high-end, all glass walls and soft music. Amanda walked in slowly, head down, blending in like any middle-aged woman just passing through. She chose a corner near a big plant, where the shadows were thick, and the angle gave her a clear view of the dining area. There, in the middle of the room, was Kelvin, and beside him, Tonya. Tonya looked just like her photos, glamorous, confident, dressed like a celebrity, laughter loud, hands moving with flair. Amanda watched closely, staying hidden behind a wall divider, pretending to be reading a menu she wasn't planning to order from. For the first few minutes, Tonya acted sweetly. She smiled at Kelvin, touched his hand, took selfies, talked excitedly about business, about fame, about travel. But then the mask slipped. A waiter arrived, a young man with shaky hands. He accidentally dropped a fork on the table while setting it. Tonya snapped. "You goat! Are you blind? Can't you do something as small as serve a table?" she hissed. The waiter bowed his head, apologized softly, and picked it up quickly. Kelvin smiled awkwardly, said nothing. Then a baby started crying at a nearby table. Tonya rolled her eyes. "Ugh, I hate children in places like this. They mess up the mood." Kelvin frowned a little but said nothing. Moments later, a woman passed behind her, wearing faded jeans and a backpack. Tonya wrinkled her nose and whispered, loud enough for Amanda to hear, Why do poor people like entering expensive places? The smell alone ruins my appetite. Amanda's chest tightened. It was all too familiar. The pride, the disgust, the disrespect. She had once married a man like this. Amanda saw clearly now. Tonya wasn't kind. She was careful. Careful with who she showed her real self to. And Kelvin. He was too gentle to notice. Amanda quietly rose from her seat and walked out without being seen. She didn't want to ruin the night. She didn't want a scene. She just needed to see for herself. Outside, the breeze was cool. The night air touched her face as she walked slowly to the roadside to call a ride home. Her heart was heavy, not with anger, but with worry. As she sat in the back seat of the cab, staring out the window, she whispered to herself, "I will not force Kelvin, but I will show him who she really is." Because Amanda had learned a painful truth long ago. Sometimes, you don't need to fight a lie with noise. You just need to bring in the truth and let it shine in silence. Amanda didn't sleep much that night. She lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything she saw at the restaurant. Tonya's fake smile, her sharp tongue, the way she treated the waiter, the way she insulted people who looked poor. Amanda's heart was heavy with fear, not for herself but for her brother. She had raised Kelvin with love, respect, and hard work. She had suffered to give him the life he now enjoyed. She couldn't sit and watch someone destroy him, especially someone like Tonya. She knew she needed to talk to him, carefully. The next morning, as Kelvin sipped his coffee and scrolled through emails at the dining table, Amanda joined him. "Kelvin," she said, sitting across from him, "can I ask you something?" He looked up. "Of course." "What kind of person is Tonya, really?" Kelvin smiled faintly. "She's confident, maybe a little proud, but she's smart, independent. She's strong." Amanda raised her eyebrow. "Proud? A little arrogant? And you think that's a good thing?" Kelvin shrugged. "Sis, many people with strong personalities can seem arrogant. It doesn't mean they're bad. Deep down, I think she's a good person." Amanda looked at him, quiet for a few seconds. Then she spoke softly. "Kelvin, people who are proud and arrogant, they are not nice. They pretend when they want something. They treat people based on what they think they can gain. Are you sure she's not with you just for your money?" Kelvin frowned slightly. "No, I don't think so." Amanda nodded slowly. She didn't push. She didn't argue. "Then let me test her," she said gently. Kelvin blinked. "Test her?" "Yes, before you bring her here officially. Let me see how she treats people she doesn't need. Real people. I won't embarrass her. I just need to know if her heart is clean." Kelvin looked at her. He knew his sister. She wasn't dramatic. She didn't gossip, and she never moved without reason. He sighed. "All right. But please, be careful." Amanda gave a small smile. "Always." The next day, Amanda began her plan. She wore one of her oldest wrappers, tied a scarf tightly over her hair, and put on an old blouse that had faded from too much washing. Her slippers were worn, her handbag scratched. She didn't wear any makeup. She looked like any tired, poor, middle-aged woman trying to survive the city. She went to the plaza where Tonya's office was located, the place where she worked as a fashion influencer. There were always cars, cameras, and makeup girls walking around, the perfect spot to test someone's character. Amanda found a spot in the corner of the parking lot, near a puddle of dirty water. She sat on a small stone, holding her back, pretending to be in pain. Her face looked tired. Her scarf slipped a little, adding to the look. Some people walked past her. A few looked. Nobody stopped. Then about 30 minutes later, she saw it. A sleek black car pulled into the compound. Loud music played from inside. The tires screeched a little as the car turned quickly. Amanda didn't move. The car drove too fast, straight through the puddle. Splash! The dirty water hit Amanda across her legs and waist. Her blouse was stained. Her bag got wet. Some people turned to look. A few workers nearby gasped softly. The car stopped, and the window slowly rolled down. Tonya. She wore big sunglasses and bright lipstick. Her wig was curled neatly. She looked expensive, polished, proud. She looked at Amanda and scoffed. Next time, don't sit like a statue on the road, Auntie, she said with a fake laugh. Lagos is not your village. Then she rolled the window back up, fixed her mirror, and drove off to park. Amanda didn't flinch. She looked down at her wet skirt, then calmly took out a small handkerchief from her bag and wiped the water off her leg. People were still watching. One man whispered. She didn't even say sorry. Amanda simply said, "It is well." And in her heart she wrote down every word, every look, every laugh, because now she knew for sure. This wasn't just suspicion. This was proof, and the it reminded her of the same proud face she had once seen in someone else. She was lost in thought when she heard soft footsteps rushing toward her. "Excuse me, Auntie. Are you okay?" a gentle voice asked. Amanda looked up slowly. A young woman was kneeling beside her, holding 2 shopping bags in one hand and a small water bottle and tissue in the other. Her face looked worried. Her voice was kind. "I saw what happened," the young woman continued. "That woman. That was very wrong. Please, let me help you." Before Amanda could reply, the girl had already opened the bottle and was wetting the tissue. She gently wiped Amanda's arm, then cleaned her bag and skirt as best as she could. Behind them, Tonia's voice rang out from across the lot. "Poor people should stay in their lane," she shouted with a mocking laugh before walking away in her heels, swinging her expensive bag like a trophy. Amanda didn't even turn. But the girl beside her paused and looked in that direction with anger in her eyes. Then she turned back to Amanda and smiled gently. "Don't mind her, Auntie. People like that forget that life can change at any time." Amanda blinked slowly. "Thank you," she said in a quiet voice, playing the role. "It's okay. I'm used to it." "You shouldn't be," the young woman said, still kneeling. "It's not okay. It's not right." She helped Amanda to her feet and held her elbow gently. "Are you going home now?" Amanda gave a weak smile. "I don't really have a home. I sometimes sleep in the back room of a shop I help to sweep. The owner lets me stay there at night." The girl looked sad but didn't pity her. Instead, she nodded like someone who understood hardship. "My name is Evelyn," she said, holding out her hand. "I'm a graduate, but there are no jobs. I just got a small cashier job in the supermarket over there. It's not much, but it helps, and I think I can help you too." Amanda shook her hand softly. "I'm Auntie Rachel," she replied, still acting. "Thank you for being kind. God will bless you." Evelyn smiled again. "Amen, Auntie. My father died when I was in secondary school and my mother is a farmer in the village. Things have been hard, but we survive. I learnt tailoring and makeup too, and I plant small vegetables behind the house I stay in. That's how we get food sometimes, so I totally understand what it means to live through hardship, but that doesn't mean the rich can treat the poor anyhow they like." Amanda listened closely. Every word touched her heart. This young woman had no money, no power, no husband, no big future promised to her. Yet she knelt beside a stranger, cleaned her dirty clothes, defended her in public, and smiled while doing it. Evelyn looked at the small space behind the building. "You said you help sweep a shop nearby, right? Maybe we can clear some ground and grow something there. We can plant tomatoes, green leaves, and even peppers. The land is free anyway." Amanda's chest tightened. This girl, this stranger. She was kind. She was real. She was good. Amanda felt something warm rise in her eyes, but she quickly blinked it away. "This girl is everything my ex-husband was not," she thought. She looked at Evelyn and gave a soft, honest smile. "You're a rare kind of person." "Thank you, Evelyn." Evelyn smiled wider. "We have to help each other, Auntie. The world is hard enough." And at that moment, Amanda knew. She had just met someone very special. She asked Evelyn for her number, saying she would call her when she was ready to start the vegetable farm. But in truth, she didn't want to contact her. She wanted to see Evelyn again. Evelyn wrote it for her on a piece of paper and rushed back into the supermarket. About 30 minutes later, Amanda was back home, in their big mansion. She closed the door behind her gently, slipping out of her worn slippers and into the cool air of the house. the peaceful quiet of home wrapped around her like a soft blanket. She had changed back into her usual clothes, a simple but elegant blouse and shirt. Her scarf was off now, her hair neatly packed. But inside she felt tired, not just in her body but in her heart. She had spent the day being someone else, Auntie Rachel, a homeless poor woman with no power, no money, and no voice. And she had seen the real Tanya again. Loud, careless, cruel. It had taken everything in Amanda to stay calm. As she walked past the living room, she heard Kelvin's voice. "Hey, sis, you're just getting back?" She looked up. He was on the couch, laptop on his lap, glasses on, a half-finished plate of jollof rice on the table beside him. "Yes," Amanda replied, managing a small smile. "Long day." Kelvin tilted his head and looked at her properly. "You look tired. Are you okay?" Amanda waved it off. "I'm fine, just some errands. Lagos is not for the weak." He chuckled. "That one is true." She sat down slowly in the chair across from him, her hands resting on her lap. For a few seconds, she didn't speak. Then quietly she asked, "Kelvin, can I ask you something serious?" He paused and nodded. "Of course." Amanda's voice was soft, but her eyes were sharp. "How does Tanya treat people who have nothing to give her?" Kelvin blinked. Amanda repeated, slower this time. "How does she talk to your driver, your staff, people she thinks are below her?" Kelvin scratched the back of his head. "She can be sharp, she says things without thinking sometimes, but it's not wickedness. That's just how city girls are. Confidence, boldness." Amanda gave a short nod. Confidence is not the same as pride, and boldness is not the same as disrespect. He sighed a little. "She has a strong personality, that's all." Amanda leaned forward slightly, her voice calm but firm. "Sharp mouth today, sharp knife in your heart tomorrow." Kelvin didn't reply immediately. He looked down at his hands, then smiled weakly. "You don't trust her." Amanda smiled too, but there was sadness behind it. "I trust that you're a good man, and I know how good men attract the wrong women." Kelvin laughed a little, shaking his head. "You won't rest." She didn't laugh back. "When are you bringing her home?" He looked up at her. "Soon. Maybe this weekend. I want you to meet her properly. Maybe you will forget about your test." Amanda nodded slowly. "Good. I'll be ready." He closed his laptop and stood up. "Don't worry, sis. I know what I'm doing." Amanda stood too, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I hope you do." But deep down, she knew he didn't see it yet. Not the way Tanya looked down on others. Not the way she talked when no one important was watching. But Amanda saw it. She had lived it. And she was ready for whatever came next. The next day, the morning sun was already high when Amanda tied her scarf and looked at herself in the mirror. Once again, she had dressed in her disguise, Auntie Rachel. The faded blouse, the old skirt, the tired face with no makeup. Her slippers were worn and her bag hung like it had seen better days. She took a deep breath. "If I don't see Tanya today," she whispered to herself, "at least I'll see Evelyn." It had been a few days since their first meeting, but Amanda hadn't stopped thinking about the girl's kindness. There was something special about Evelyn, something real. And today, Amanda just wanted to feel that softness again. She arrived at the same small supermarket plaza where Evelyn worked. It was a busy place, full of people coming and going. Amanda found a spot near the entrance, a quiet corner where cleaners usually sat. She placed a small plastic bucket beside her, like someone taking a break after mopping floors. She sat down, her back slightly bent, her face lowered. She waited. It wasn't long before a loud engine pulled up. Amanda looked up through the corner of her eye. Tanya. Dressed in tight jeans, high heels, and a silk top that screamed money. Her makeup was loud, her bag big and shiny. She stepped out of her car with her phone in hand, snapping a quick selfie before strutting toward the building. Amanda stood and pretended to step into her path. Bump. She touched Tanya's arm lightly, just enough to make it look like an accident. "Oh, sorry, my dear," Amanda said quickly. I didn't see— Are you mad? Tanya snapped, pulling her arm away like Amanda had poured acid on her. You touched me with your poor, stinking body. What nonsense. Amanda stepped back, apologizing again. It was a mistake, I'm sorry. Tanya was not done. Her voice got louder. Lazy woman, couldn't you have used your beauty in your youth to marry a rich man instead of sitting around smelling like an utter? You probably married a useless, broke hag like yourself. People started to look. Disgraceful, she continued, eyes filled with disgust. Real women attract wealthy men. You should just go and hide in the village. Amanda didn't say a word. Her heart was heavy, but her face stayed calm. Then a voice came from behind them. That's enough. Amanda turned. It was Evelyn. She had come out from inside the supermarket, still wearing her cashier apron. Her eyes were sharp, and her voice was strong. Respect is not only for rich people, Evelyn said firmly, walking closer. Auntie Rachel is clearly older than you. She deserves respect. Or do you insult your elder siblings like this at home too? Tanya laughed bitterly. Broke motivational speaker. Evelyn stood her ground. You have money, yes, but no manners. That's not class. That's a shame. Tanya rolled her eyes and hissed. Both of you. You're not even qualified to sit on the ground I walk on. She turned and stormed off, heels clicking, voice still muttering insults as she entered the building. Silence returned to the space. Evelyn walked over and helped Amanda sit back down. Auntie, are you okay? She asked softly. Amanda nodded slowly. I'm fine, thank you. Some people don't know shame, Evelyn muttered, still angry. They think money makes them better than others. Amanda gave a small smile. You spoke well. You stood for me again. You deserve it, Evelyn said, sitting beside her. The world is already hard. We can't be wicked to each other on top of it. Amanda looked at her closely. There was no pretense, no show. Just a young woman doing her best in a hard world. I was once married, Amanda said quietly. Evelyn looked at her, surprised. He was sweet at first, Amanda continued, staring into the distance. Then he changed, used me, took everything he could, and when he had nothing else to gain, he threw me away. Evelyn touched her hand gently. I'm sorry. Amanda smiled weakly. It's okay. I survived. She didn't say more. She didn't mention Kelvin or her real name. That part of the story would come later if it ever came. But Evelyn nodded, her eyes soft. You're strong. But Auntie, you shouldn't suffer like this. She looked toward the back of the building. Behind the shop, there's a small open space. Not much, but we can plant something. Even if it's just tomatoes and okra. You'll have food, I can help you. Amanda felt her throat tighten. You don't even know me, she whispered. Evelyn smiled. I don't need to. I see you. And I can't just let you sit here suffering. We must plant something. At least I'll know you'll have something to eat. Amanda looked at her again, truly looked. And in her heart she thought, if only Kelvin could meet this one instead. After her long talk with Evelyn, Amanda walked home slowly, her heart full but quiet. She hadn't expected to open up like that, to share a piece of her painful past with someone she had only just met. But Evelyn made it feel easy, safe, and for the first time in a long time, Amanda felt a kind of peace. Still, she said nothing to Kelvin. Not about the mall, not about the supermarket, not about Tanya's insults. She simply went on with her days as usual, cooking, cleaning, praying, watching. 3 days passed. The house was calm. The air was quiet. That afternoon, Amanda was in her room, resting on the bed with a novel open on her lap, when she heard a knock on the door. It was Kelvin. He peeked in with a boyish grin. Sis, she's here. Amanda sat up slowly, placing her book aside. She? Kelvin smiled. Tanya. She's here to meet you. I told her to come casual and calm. I wanted it to feel like home. Amanda stood, smoothing her skirt. All right, let me come down. Her heart didn't race. Her face didn't change. But inside she was prepared. The living room was warm and inviting. Soft pillows on the chairs, a few framed photos on the wall, Amanda had kept some of their old village memories there. Their mother's portrait. Nothing fancy, but full of heart. Tanya stood by the window when Amanda entered. She was dressed well, as always. Her makeup was perfect. Nails painted. Bag expensive. But her eyes were on the decor, the wall clock, the curtains, the clay pot in the corner. Amanda noticed it all. Tanya was judging everything. She turned slowly when she heard footsteps. And then she froze. Her eyes locked on Amanda's face. Recognition hit her like cold water. Her fake smile dropped, her hands twitched, her posture changed, because standing before her was not just Kelvin's sister. It was the same poor woman she had insulted outside the mall, the same tired auntie from the supermarket parking lot, the same woman she had mocked, splashed, and humiliated. Amanda. Auntie Rachel. Tanya's face went pale. She opened her mouth slightly, but no words came out. Kelvin, standing beside her, was smiling, proud. Tanya, this is my sister Amanda, the woman who raised me. Amanda gave a calm smile. Her eyes met Tanya's, steady and strong. Welcome, she said softly, but her voice held weight. Please, sit down. Tanya stood stiff for a moment, then slowly sat on the edge of the couch like she didn't know whether to run or stay. The living room felt too quiet. Kelvin stood nearby, looking relaxed, completely unaware of the storm about to break. Amanda, calm and composed, sat in the armchair opposite them, her hands resting gently in her lap. Trying to break the tension, Tanya let out a small laugh. Oh, I think I've seen you somewhere before. Maybe in one of those malls or something. Amanda's voice was steady. Yes, you saw me outside your office. You also saw me in the mall parking lot. Both times you didn't know I was watching you. But I saw everything. Tanya's smile faded. Her back straightened slightly. Amanda continued. You splashed dirty water on me and said I should stop sitting like a statue. You told me Lagos was not my village. Then you looked at me like I was trash. Tanya blinked, her lips parting. Amanda didn't stop. And again at the supermarket you insulted me to my face. Called me lazy. Said I couldn't use my beauty to marry a rich man. You called me disgraceful and told me to go and hide in the village. The room fell into heavy silence. Amanda turned to Kelvin, whose smile was gone now. He was frowning, his eyes slowly shifting from Amanda to Tanya. Then she spoke again, still calm, still gentle, but her words sharp as a blade. You didn't know I was your boyfriend's sister, but you didn't need to know. You just needed to be human. Kelvin's voice came out low, almost a whisper. You did that to my sister. Tanya's eyes widened. She stood up suddenly, panic rising in her voice. Kelvin, wait! I didn't know she was your sister! Amanda looked at her but said nothing more. Kelvin took a slow step back, like something inside him had just snapped into place. All the small things he had ignored, the way Tanya treated waiters, drivers, cleaners, strangers, and now Amanda, the woman who raised him. He shook his head. I made excuses for you. I told myself you were just outspoken, that you were bold, but now I see it clearly. Kelvin, please, Tanya begged, stepping toward him. I was stressed. You know how this city is. I didn't mean it like that. He raised his hand. No, don't explain. His voice was firm now, painful, final. A woman who cannot honor my sister, the woman who gave up everything for me, will never be my wife. Tanya's face crumbled. Please, baby. I was angry. People talk anyhow when they're angry. I didn't mean... No, he said again, louder this time. This is not anger. This is who you are, and I won't build my future with someone who sees people as worthless just because they have nothing. Amanda stayed seated, watching it all. Her face didn't change, but inside her heart was a mix of relief and quiet pain. She hated seeing her brother hurt, but she was proud of him. Tanya dropped her bag to the floor, tears filling her eyes. Kelvin, please, don't do this. I love you. Kelvin's voice softened slightly, but not in affection, in goodbye. Then you should have loved people too. Not just me. Tanya stood there for a moment longer, but the silence told her it was over. She picked up her bag, wiped her face quickly, and walked out of the house without another word. Kelvin remained standing, still processing everything. Amanda rose gently and walked to his side. He looked at her, eyes full of emotion. "I'm sorry, sis. I should have listened earlier." Amanda placed a hand on his back. "You needed to see it for yourself." They stood there in the quiet house, brother and sister, both stronger than they had been just a few minutes before. The days after the breakup were quiet in the mansion. No more late-night phone calls, no more loud laughter from the living room. Kelvin kept to himself. He worked, he ate, he slept. But Amanda could tell something had shifted. He didn't speak much about Tanya, and Amanda didn't ask. The truth had done its job. There was no need for more words. Meanwhile, Amanda continued visiting Evelyn at the supermarket. Sometimes she bought bread, sometimes just tissue paper or groundnut, but truthfully she wasn't there for shopping. She was there for Evelyn. The young woman had quickly become someone Amanda looked forward to seeing. Her words were simple, but wise. Her kindness was never forced. They laughed, shared stories, and sometimes sat quietly behind the shop after work hours talking about life. Amanda had found something she didn't know she needed: a true friend. A few mornings later, Kelvin woke up early. The air was fresh, the house was quiet, and for the first time in a long while he felt restless. He needed air, space, something simple. He got dressed in a plain t-shirt and jeans, slipped on his sneakers and grabbed his car keys. No driver, no assistant, just him. He drove slowly around town, passing through familiar streets, his windows down, letting the breeze touch his face. Then he remembered he needed bathing soap and bottled water. Nothing serious, just something to do. He pulled into a small supermarket, the same one Evelyn worked at. Inside it was quiet, clean. A soft gospel song played from a small speaker. As he reached for a bottle of water, he noticed a young woman arranging tins of milk on the shelf nearby. She looked up and gave him a small smile. "Good morning, sir." Her voice was calm. No excitement, no fake energy, just polite. "Good morning," he replied. She walked over to the counter and rang up his items. "That's 2,200, sir." He paid, nodded, and picked up the bag. But as he walked toward the exit, he heard footsteps behind him. "Excuse me, sir," she called gently. He turned. She was holding a small note. "Your change. You forgot it." Kelvin took it and smiled. "Ah, thank you. You're very kind." She smiled back, brushing her braids behind her ear. "It's nothing. Have a nice day." He left, but her face stayed in his mind. The next day, Kelvin found himself at the same supermarket. He told himself it was just to get water again. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wanted to see her. He walked in and saw her arranging boxes of biscuits this time. She looked up and smiled. "Back again?" He chuckled. "Yes, I forgot something yesterday." She laughed gently. "What did you forget?" He shrugged. "Maybe a reason to come back." They both smiled. After paying for a bottle of water he didn't really need, he stood quietly, then said, "I'm Kelvin, by the way." She nodded. "I'm Evelyn." He paused, then spoke honestly. "I'd like to get to know you better, if that's okay." Evelyn looked at him for a moment, then smiled. "I close by 5 p.m. You can wait, and we can walk." Kelvin nodded. "I'll be outside." At exactly 5 p.m., Evelyn stepped out of the supermarket, her small handbag on her shoulder. Kelvin stood waiting near his car, not too close, not too far. As they began walking down the quiet street, he noticed something. She didn't ask about his name, his money, his car. Most women her age would have recognized him by now. His face had been in newspapers, magazines. But not Evelyn. She was present with him, not what he had. They walked slowly, the sky painted with the soft orange of early evening. "So," Kelvin asked, "what do you do apart from work here?" Evelyn smiled. "I'm trying to save. I want to start a small farm, not a big one, just behind the shop." He raised a brow. "Really? Why?" "I want to help someone," she said softly. "An auntie I met. She has nowhere to stay. She works hard, but life hasn't been kind to her. If I can plant something, even small food, she won't go hungry. Kelvin's steps slowed. That's kind. Evelyn nodded. She deserves it. She's quiet but strong. And she's been through a lot. What's her name? Auntie Rachel. I met her near the supermarket one day. People treated her badly, but she never said a word. Kelvin listened closely. The name didn't sound familiar, but something about the story tugged at his heart. She reminds me of my mum, in a way, Evelyn continued. Strong, but tired. She is young, but one can tell she has gone through a lot. Kelvin looked at her for a long moment. Here was a girl, young, struggling, working long hours, and yet her biggest concern was feeding someone else. He didn't say much after that. Just walked beside her, heart quiet, mind full. When she asked what he did for work, he smiled and replied simply, I'm into business. A few days had passed since their walk. Kelvin had been thinking about Evelyn more than he expected. Her voice, her quiet confidence, the way she spoke about Auntie Rachel was with so much care. She didn't try to impress him. She didn't even seem to notice the kind of car he drove, and that, more than anything, stayed in his mind. That morning he called her. Hello? Her voice came through, warm but a little rushed. Hi, Evelyn. I was wondering if you're free to meet today. Maybe we can grab lunch? She laughed softly. Lunch? Today? Yes, if you're free. I'm actually off today, but I'm not exactly free. Oh, Kelvin replied, a little surprised. What's keeping you busy on your day off? There was a pause. Then Evelyn said, I'm trying to set up something behind the supermarket, a small garden, for Auntie Rachel. Kelvin sat up straighter. You're serious? Of course. I want to surprise her. I got permission to use the land behind the shop, and I managed to buy some seeds, okra, tomatoes, and pepper. Nothing much, just enough to help her eat. Kelvin smiled, heart warm. Can I come and help? Evelyn laughed. You? With your clean hands? You want to farm? I have hands, don't I? Soft hands, she teased. I'll still come. Fine. Don't wear white. Later that morning, Kelvin pulled up quietly at the back of the shop. There was no crowd, no noise, just a small fenced backyard with open earth and a few tools on the ground. Evelyn was already there, tying her scarf, sleeves rolled up, holding a hoe. She looked up and smiled as he walked toward her. You actually came. Told you I would. All right, Mr. Businessman, let's see what you can do. He picked up a shovel and got to work. At first it was awkward. He struggled to dig properly. His shoes got dusty. Sweat started to gather on his forehead. Evelyn stood to the side, laughing. I told you your hands are too soft. Kelvin laughed too, wiping his forehead. They're learning. Soon, both of them were digging side by side. They planted okra seeds first, then some vegetables. Evelyn explained how to space them, how to water them, and how long it would take before they'd see any real growth. They laughed about life in Lagos, how expensive everything had become, and how people sometimes forgot to be kind. Kelvin talked about growing up with his sister. He didn't say much about their past, but his voice softened whenever he mentioned her. Evelyn shared stories about the village, how her mother still farmed with her bare hands, and how she used to fetch water with a broken bucket as a child. Kelvin listened closely. He noticed something about her. She never complained. Not once. Even when the sun grew hot, even when the soil was dry, Evelyn kept smiling. She had a strength that was quiet, but real. When they finally finished, they both sat on a small bench near the wall, sipping cold sachet water and catching their breath. Evelyn looked at the small garden proudly. It's not much, but at least she'll have something. Kelvin looked at her. You helped a stranger, and you didn't even expect anything in return. She shrugged. I just saw someone who needed love. She turned to him. Thanks for helping me. Not everyone would come and dig dirt on their day off. Kelvin smiled. Thank you for reminding me that real people still exist. Their eyes held for a second, just a second, and something unspoken passed between them. Evelyn quickly looked away and stood up, brushing dust from her knees. "Let me go and clean up. You too, you look like a roadside mechanic." Kelvin laughed. "I'm proud of it." They said goodbye at the roadside. No promises, no pressure, just two people parting after something meaningful. Evelyn walked away, her steps light. As she turned the corner toward her small apartment, she touched her cheek gently. She was smiling. She was also blushing. The following morning was bright and busy at the supermarket. Evelyn moved between shelves, arranging goods, answering customers, and managing the till. It was just another regular day until she saw a familiar face walking toward her. Auntie Rachel. Evelyn's eyes lit up. "Auntie," she said with a smile, wiping her hands on her apron. Amanda returned the smile and walked closer, carrying a small nylon bag in one hand. "Evelyn," she said softly, "I just came to check on you. How's work today?" "Busy," Evelyn replied, "but seeing you now has made it better." Amanda chuckled. "Always full of kind words. You haven't changed." They stepped aside from the main counter, near the same corner where they usually sat to talk. For a few seconds she didn't speak. Then she opened her small bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She handed it to Evelyn. "Here," she said gently. Evelyn unfolded it. It was an address, a street name, house number, a rich side of town. Her brows furrowed. "What is this?" Amanda smiled slowly. "Come and visit me tomorrow. I have something to show you." Evelyn looked confused. You live here?" Amanda nodded. "You have a house?" Amanda laughed lightly. "Come and see." Evelyn's eyes searched her face. There were 1,000 questions on her tongue, but she held them back. Instead, she nodded. "Okay. After my shift, I'll come." Amanda squeezed her hand gently. "Don't worry. Everything will make sense." That night, back at the mansion, Kelvin sat on the couch, going through emails when Amanda walked in with a calm, focused look on her face. "Kelvin," she said, sitting beside him, "tomorrow, I want you to meet someone important." Kelvin looked up, curious. "Who?" Amanda shook her head. "You'll see." He smiled. "You're being mysterious again." She laughed softly. "Just trust me." He leaned back. "Always. Please don't go out tomorrow afternoon. I want you to be home. It's important." Kelvin raised a brow. "Am I being set up?" Amanda gave him a teasing look. "Maybe." Kelvin chuckled, but there was something in Amanda's eyes, something calm but serious, that told him this wasn't just a casual visit. "Okay," he said, "I'll stay home." As Amanda walked away, Kelvin watched her go. He didn't know who was coming. He didn't know what his sister was planning. But he trusted her, the same way he always had. The sun was already up when Evelyn stood nervously outside a large black gate, clutching the piece of paper with the address Amanda had given her. She looked around. Tall palm trees lined the street. The compound walls were high and painted cream with gold trimming. It didn't look like anything she had expected. In fact, everything about the place screamed wealth. She looked down at her simple dress and the old sandals on her feet. "This must be a mistake," she thought. "This can't be where Auntie Rachel lives." She was about to turn around when the security man at the gate stepped forward. "Good morning. Who are you looking for?" Evelyn cleared her throat. I'm here to see Auntie Rachel." The man didn't look surprised. "Oh, you're the one. Come in." He opened the gate for her, and Evelyn stepped in slowly, her mouth slightly open. The compound was beautiful. The grass was neatly cut. Flowers lined the walkway. The driveway was clean and wide. There was even a small fountain near the front door. "This is not just a house. This is a mansion." She walked forward slowly, feeling like she was dreaming. Then the front door opened, and there stood Amanda. But she wasn't dressed in her old blouse or slippers today. She wore a lovely gown, simple, classy, and graceful. Her hair was neat, her face glowing, but the warm, kind eyes were still the same. Evelyn froze. "Auntie, this is your house?" she whispered, staring wide-eyed. Amanda smiled gently. "Yes, my dear." Evelyn took a step back. "But I don't understand." Amanda walked forward and held her hand. "Come inside. Let me explain." They sat in the beautiful living room, the one Amanda had decorated with love, not just wealth. "I wanted to test the woman my brother was dating," Amanda said softly. "I wanted to see how she treated people she didn't need, people she thought had nothing. So I became someone else, a poor, tired woman sitting near a shop." Evelyn was silent, still trying to take it all in. Amanda smiled warmly at her. "But instead of finding a woman to expose, I found a jewel, you." Evelyn's eyes widened, her lips parting slightly. "Me?" Amanda nodded. "You didn't know who I was. You didn't ask what I had. But you gave me your time, your kindness, your food. You gave me hope." Just then, footsteps echoed from the hallway. Kelvin entered the room, dressed casually, holding a glass of juice. He looked up and paused. Evelyn turned to see him, and her heart skipped. Their eyes met. He was the same man from the farm, the businessman with soft hands, the quiet helper, the one who made her laugh while planting okra. Evelyn gasped softly. "You?" Kelvin smiled, a little surprised himself. "You?" Amanda stood between them, her smile now full of meaning. "Evelyn," she said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "This is my brother, Kelvin, the man whose heart I must protect." Evelyn's face flushed wide. She looked down, embarrassed and overwhelmed. Kelvin stepped closer. "So, you're the one helping my sister?" "The garden is for my sister?" Evelyn laughed nervously. I didn't know she was your sister. I didn't even know she had a house like this. And I didn't know you were you. My sister kept me awake late into the night talking about a very kind young woman," Kelvin said with a smile. Amanda chuckled. Life has a funny way of bringing the right people together. Then she looked at both of them, eyes soft. The three of them sat together in the wide, peaceful living room. The air was quiet, but it carried something warm, something real. Amanda sat in her usual chair, Kelvin on the couch beside her, and Evelyn, still a little overwhelmed, perched gently on the edge of another seat, her hands resting in her lap, eyes occasionally scanning the beautiful space around her. Amanda looked at her with so much care, it felt like a mother looking at her own child. "Evelyn," she began softly, "thank you." Evelyn looked up, surprised. "For what, Auntie?" Amanda's voice was calm, but full of emotion. "For seeing me. For helping me. For treating me like a human being when I looked like I had nothing." Evelyn's eyes filled with emotion, and she quickly looked down. Amanda continued. "You defended me when people laughed. You sat with me when I looked dirty and tired. You offered to share what little you had. You did for me what my own ex-husband never did." Her voice caught slightly, but she finished the sentence. "You stood by me when you had nothing to gain." Kelvin turned to Evelyn now, his voice gentle. "I didn't even know you were the same person my sister talked about." Evelyn's eyes lifted slowly to meet his. He smiled. "You know, I thought I just met you by chance. I didn't realize you were already part of my family's story." Amanda looked between them, her eyes wide. "Wait, you two met already?" Kelvin nodded. "At the back of the shop, I helped her plant okra." Amanda gasped softly, covering her mouth. "You never told me." "I didn't know it was the same girl," Kelvin said, laughing now. Amanda laughed too, her heart full. "This is even better than I imagined. I was worried you'd think I was trying to force my young friend on you. But life had already done the work for me." Evelyn blushed and shook her head. "I didn't do anything special. I was just being me." Amanda leaned forward slightly. "And that's exactly what makes you special." There was a quiet moment. Then Amanda said the words that had been sitting in her heart. "If there's any woman I trust near my brother's heart," she said softly, "it is you." Kelvin looked at Evelyn and smiled again, this time deeper, warmer. Evelyn quickly looked away, hiding her face behind her small hands, her cheeks red. Amanda laughed gently. See how you're hiding now. Don't worry. Nobody is rushing you. But I just wanted you to know, this house is open to you. Evelyn looked up slowly. Thank you. So much. She didn't know what would come next. But in that moment she felt safe, seen, wanted. And in her heart she knew. Maybe this was where she belonged. After the soft laughter and warm conversation, Amanda stood from her chair with a knowing smile. I'll leave you two to talk, she said, gently patting Evelyn's shoulder before walking quietly out of the room. Evelyn's heart skipped. She and Kelvin were now alone. The room grew quiet again, but it wasn't an awkward silence. It was calm, almost peaceful. Kelvin shifted closer on the couch and turned to face her. Evelyn sat still, her fingers twisting the edge of her scarf. He cleared his throat gently. Evelyn, he began, his voice soft, I don't want to waste your time. Or mine. Evelyn looked up slowly, her eyes meeting his. I've seen many people in my life, Kelvin continued, but not many like you. You didn't know who I was. You didn't care about money or fame. You just cared. And that touched me. Evelyn said nothing yet, her eyes wide, her heart thumping like a drum. He took a deep breath. You defended my sister when you thought she had no one. You offered her help when you were struggling yourself. And even at the farm, you didn't just plant vegetables. You planted peace. You reminded me what kindness looks like, what love should feel like. Evelyn blinked quickly. Kelvin, He gently cut in. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I almost gave my heart to someone who would have broken it. If not for my sister's wisdom, I would have paid dearly. He paused for a moment. I don't want to play games, he said honestly. I'm not looking for drama or fake love. I want a wife who brings peace, not noise, someone real, someone like you. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. She covered her mouth gently with her fingers. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Just be honest, Kelvin replied. That's all I want. Evelyn nodded slowly. I feel something too. I've been feeling it since the first day. But I told myself I was just being foolish. I'm just a village girl trying to survive. I never imagined... She trailed off, and tears filled her eyes. Not sad tears, but tears of surprise and quiet joy. But, she added quickly, before I say anything more, I have to talk to my mother. She's in the village. My father is late, and it's just her now. I must tell her first. I can't make any big decision without her blessing. Kelvin smiled deeply, his heart full of respect. Then that is our first assignment, he said gently. We will go there together. Evelyn looked at him in awe. You'll come with me? He nodded. Of course. You're not just choosing me. I'm choosing your family too, just like you stood by mine without knowing. Evelyn placed a hand on her chest, taking a deep breath. Okay, we'll go. They both sat there in silence again, not needing to say too much. Because some hearts understand each other without noise. Just peace. Amanda stood quietly behind the door that day, her hand resting gently on the wooden frame. She had heard everything, every soft word, every confession from her brother, and every honest reply from Evelyn. A smile slowly spread across her face, and her eyes filled with joyful tears. She whispered to herself, good hearts attract good hearts. She had no doubt now her brother was finally safe. A few days later the news broke. Billionaire Kelvin Okechukwu engaged a mystery woman. Who is the village beauty who stole Nigeria's quiet billionaire's heart? Photos of Kelvin and Evelyn appeared everywhere. Though Kelvin had tried to keep things quiet, news had a way of leaking. One blurry photo of them smiling at a village market had gone viral overnight. The internet buzzed. But somewhere in a fancy short-let apartment on the island, someone was burning with rage. Tanya. She had been trying to call Kelvin, text, email, even using different numbers. He ignored them all. And now, he was not only ignoring her, he was engaged. To a lowlife, as she called her. A nobody. A market girl. Her hands shook as she stared at the pictures. Then, slowly, a twisted smile formed on her lips. If I can't have him, she muttered, Nobody will. That same day, she made a call. Sly, she said, her voice low and serious. I have a job for you. Sly was a street guy, muscular, rough-faced, eyes always scanning. He'd done dirty jobs for money before, threats, setups, even one fake kidnapping. What's the work? He asked over the phone. I want you to plant something in Kelvin's office. Drugs, something big. I want the police to come for him. There was a pause. She wasn't done. And that village girl? Arrange an accident. Something small, just enough to scare her, or remove her if necessary. Sly stayed quiet. Can you handle it? He cleared his throat. Send the details. Good. She smiled coldly. Don't fail me. What Tonya didn't know was that Sly owed Amanda everything. A few years earlier, Sly had been completely broke. His mother, who worked as a maid at the Okechukwu mansion, collapsed one afternoon from a sudden illness. No hospital wanted to take her without a deposit. Sly had run around begging. He had entered the mansion, crying. Amanda had seen him. No questions, no delay. She had given him everything she had in her purse and added her ATM card. She's our staff, Amanda had said. That makes her family. Sly never forgot. Now, years later, he looked at his phone after ending the call with Tonya. Then he opened a recording app. He called her again. Madam, he said, can you repeat the plan so I don't miss anything? And she did, clearly, proudly. He got it all. The next morning, Sly arrived at Kelvin's office with a backpack. He was allowed in because Kelvin had seen him before. Sly from the neighborhood, he used to say. Kelvin stood and shook his hand. Guy, long time. I bring something, Sly said. Kelvin looked curious. Hope it's not another surprise. Sly smiled faintly, then pulled out a small speaker from the bag. He pressed play. Tonya's voice filled the room. Plant the drugs in his cabinet drawer. He won't know. Police will carry him. And the girl, arrange accident. Break leg, arm, anything. She'll go back to the village on her own. Kelvin's smile disappeared. He slowly sat down. Sly folded his arms and said nothing. Just then, Amanda walked in. I was passing this area and said, let me surprise you, she said cheerfully, walking into the office. But the mood in the room was heavy. Kelvin looked at her. You came at the right time. She greeted Sly and sat down. What's going on? Kelvin played the recording again. Amanda didn't blink. She sat still, listening from beginning to end. When it stopped, she looked at Sly. You recorded this? Sly nodded. Yes, Ma. I couldn't let her touch either of you. Amanda nodded slowly. You've done well. Your mother raised you right. Kelvin was silent for a moment, then looked at his sister. What do we do? Amanda stood up. Her face was calm, but her voice was sharp. We take it to the police. Police did not waste time. The morning after Kelvin and Amanda submitted the evidence, officers tracked Tonya to an upscale lounge on the island. She was sitting with her friends, laughing loudly, bragging about big connections and how she could get any man she wanted. She didn't even notice the officers until they stood directly in front of her table. Miss Tonya, one of them said, you are under arrest for conspiracy, attempted harm and criminal setup against Mr. Kelvin Okechukwu and Miss Evelyn. Her smile vanished. What? Are you mad? Do you know who I am? Her friends slowly moved away, embarrassed and terrified. When the handcuffs clicked around her wrists, she screamed, cursed, kicked, but nothing changed. Her downfall had begun. In court, Tonya came in looking shaken but still trying to hold on to her pride. She wore simple clothes this time, hoping to gain pity. Her lawyer stood tall. My client is innocent. Tonya nodded quickly. Yes, I didn't do anything. The prosecutor calmly set down a speaker on the judge's desk. Your Honor, please listen. Then he pressed play. Tonya's voice filled the entire courtroom. Plant the drugs in his cabinet drawer. He won't know. People gasped. Even the journalists stood up. Tonya froze. Her face drained of all color. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. That is not, she tried. The judge raised a hand. Enough. His voice was stern, disappointed. You planned to destroy a man who loved you. You planned to harm an innocent girl simply because you were rejected. This is wickedness, pure wickedness. Tonya broke down in loud sobs, shaking her head. Please, please, I didn't mean it. But the judge was done with her. For conspiracy, attempted harm, and malicious intent, he said, you are hereby sentenced to 10 years in prison, no bail. Tonya collapsed to her knees, crying uncontrollably as officers lifted her. The courtroom buzzed, cameras flashing. But Kelvin and Amanda stayed calm. They walked out quietly, grateful for justice, and grateful for people like Sly who still carried good hearts in a hard world. A week later, Kelvin and Evelyn traveled to her village. The air was different there, peaceful, soft, honest. Goats wandered, children played with sticks. Smoke rose gently from small cooking fires. At the entrance of the compound, Evelyn's mother stood in her wrapper, broom in hand. When she saw her daughter and Kelvin approaching, she blinked in surprise. My daughter! Ah, you didn't tell me you were coming. Mama, Evelyn said with a shy smile. I brought someone. Kelvin stepped forward respectfully and went down on his knees. Mama, he said softly, my name is Kelvin. I came to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. I promise to love her with all my heart, to protect her, and to honor you as my own mother. Evelyn's mother covered her mouth, shaking. Kelvin continued, voice tender. I lost my parents early. My sister became both mother and father to me. We grew up alone, and we fought through life together. Now, I want us all to be one family, no separation, no suffering. Tears rolled down the mother's face. She held Kelvin's hands and lifted him up. My son, from today you are mine. You and your sister. I am a mother to 3 children now. Evelyn wiped her tears quickly, touched beyond words. Then Kelvin added softly, Mama, I want to buy you a house in the city. You've suffered enough. Come stay near us so you can rest. The old woman burst into tears again. She hugged them both tightly. God bless you, she whispered. May love never leave your home. May peace follow you everywhere you go. She smiled through tears. And I am happy. I will be closer to my 3 children. Back in the city, Amanda waited outside the house, a bit nervous. It had been years since she called anyone Mama, not since their mother passed. But today, someone special was coming. The gate opened. Evelyn entered with her mother by her side, holding her hand gently like a daughter helping her own child. Amanda walked forward, smiling warmly. Mama, Evelyn said softly, this is Auntie Amanda, but she's more than an auntie to me. Evelyn's mother looked at Amanda with kind, tired eyes. My daughter has told me everything, she said. Amanda moved closer, then gently took the older woman's hand in hers. You raised a good woman, Amanda whispered, her voice shaking slightly. She saved my brother, and she healed me. The woman smiled. Then you are already my daughter. Amanda's lips trembled. I've missed hearing those words, she said quietly. Then she hugged her tightly, finally letting the tears fall. From that day on, Evelyn's mother became Mama to both Amanda and Kelvin, just as she had promised. A few weeks later, the city buzzed again, this time not with scandal, but with joy. It was the day of Kelvin and Evelyn's wedding. But it wasn't a loud or flashy celebration. No helicopter, no rented crowd, no social media drama. It was simple, elegant, and full of real love. The wedding venue was decorated with fresh flowers and soft colors. Everything smelled like peace. Guests smiled genuinely. Every face there mattered. No one was invited for show. Amanda stood proudly beside her brother, dressed in a beautiful native outfit, her eyes bright and confident. She was no longer the broken, fearful woman who had once hidden behind pain. She was now the proud sister of a good man and a quiet warrior who had protected him till the very end. When Kelvin walked down the aisle, he paused halfway and held Amanda's hand. You kept your promise, he whispered. Amanda squeezed his hand. So did you. Sly sat at the back, wearing a clean shirt and simple trousers. He didn't talk much, but everyone noticed him. During the small speech section, Kelvin stood and said, There are many people who helped bring us here today, but one man quietly saved my life without asking for anything. Sly, thank you. Everyone clapped. Sly just nodded once, his eyes wet but proud. In the front row, Evelyn's mother sat in a lovely lace gown, her hands folded peacefully in her lap. She looked nothing like the tired village woman from months ago. Now she was honored, not because of wealth, but because of her heart. She smiled all through the ceremony, thanking God in her heart again and again. After the vows, hugs, photos, and warm laughter, Kelvin and Evelyn left quietly for their honeymoon. No camera followed them. No crowd disturbed them. They went to a quiet beach just outside the city, a place where waves sang and palm trees danced gently in the wind. There they walked barefoot on the sand, holding hands and sharing quiet stories. They talked about the past, the pain, and the blessings that followed. They laughed about how Kelvin forgot his change at the supermarket. And they sat quietly watching the sunset, both knowing they had found something rare. Real love, simple love, strong love. The sun rose slowly over the quiet city, pouring golden light through the windows of Amanda's room. It had been a few weeks since the wedding. Kelvin and Evelyn were still on their peaceful honeymoon. Their pictures were calm, soft, full of barefoot laughter and ocean breeze. Amanda would smile each time she saw them, not with longing, but with peace. Because for once, she too had peace. A few days after the wedding, Amanda had gone to the bookstore near the estate, a place she often visited when she needed silence. She stood quietly in the corner, flipping through a novel about healing and forgiveness. "Excuse me," a calm male voice said beside her. "You've picked the best one on that shelf." Amanda looked up. He had kind eyes, not flashy, not loud, just kind. "Oh, really?" she replied, trying not to smile too much. He nodded. "I've read it 3 times. The writer knows how to enter your heart gently." They stood there a while, talking about books, then life. His name was Amika, a literature lecturer who loved old music, garden walks, and peace. They met the next weekend, then again after that. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but his heart was steady. He never rushed her, never forced his way in. He just stayed, gently. One evening, as they walked together through a quiet garden, Amika stopped. "You carry strength," he said to Amanda. "The quiet kind. But I also see the tiredness behind your eyes." Amanda turned to him, surprised. He continued, "I don't want to fix you. I just want to walk with you, if you'll let me." Amanda felt a tear slip down her cheek. Not from pain, but from release. She nodded slowly. "Yes," she whispered. "Let's walk." As the days passed, Amanda found herself smiling more, laughing at little things, letting her guard down. She would often sit on her balcony, watching the garden below. Sometimes she'd hear Evelyn and Kelvin's voices over the phone, teasing her gently. Other times, Evelyn's mother would drop by with warm soup and say, "Daughter, you need to eat and rest well." Amanda would hug her and say, "Thank you, Mama." She was no longer alone. She had a brother, a sister, a mother, and now someone who loved her genuinely, patiently, and quietly. Some people wear poverty like clothes, but carry rich hearts. Some wear wealth loudly, but have empty souls. Real love is not found in expensive gifts or perfect pictures. Real love is seen in how you treat those who can do nothing for you. And as Amanda sat one evening, pen in hand, journaling quietly on her balcony, she smiled to herself. She looked at the garden, at the flowers Evelyn planted, at the small okra shoots poking out from the earth, at the sky changing colors, and she wrote simply, "Money can buy a wedding, but only character can build a home." The end.